Hello and welcome everybody to another edition of Adobe Live. I have a very special guest today, my dear friend and colleague, Michael Münch. Welcome everybody, and I'm super delighted for this stream today. We're gonna fill it up with 1.5 hours of, I would say, Premiere Pro decency and absolutely fantastic hands-on tips from Michael. Hi Michael, how are you doing?
Hey guys, thanks for having me, Robert, and I'm glad to be here. Yeah, I'm all right. So just got to switch my brain from German to English now.
That's not a problem. I know you can do that with an instant and just, toggle that switch. Let's see who is here today. I see Andreas in the chat. I see Kirsty. I see Linda, Doris, Jane, Angus. Hello, everyone.
Hey guys.
Oliver. So nice to see you all. And also, in case you are watching this on YouTube, hop on over to Behance, where the stream is also available. But next to the stream, there's also the chat, and that's where the magic happens. That's where the community is, because that's where you can ask and post questions and feedback. Anything you want us to know or you want to ask, I will pass it on to Mike, and we can then keep it a little bit more interactive and more fun. So hop on over on Behance and post your questions if you have any. So I don't know, Michael, have you been in the UK stream before? I'm not sure. We've done a few in the German ones, but
I don't think so. I think it's been mostly German, and I've done some Adobe Live in Munich at the headquarters, but that was German as well.
Okay, so maybe our folks can post in the chat who has seen Michael before, or for whom it is a brand new face appearing here.
Maybe on the street, maybe on some billboards. I don't know.
Yeah, billboards, as you do. But I suppose we haven't been in the chat before, or in the UK stream. But so maybe Mike, you can introduce yourself a little bit to the audience and to all the people who have never seen you or your work. And yeah, maybe you can just take it from there and tell a bit about what you do.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Michael Münch. I know it's a toughie to pronounce, but you'll get used to it. My American and English-speaking friends just call me Mooch, so feel free to say Michael Mooch. I'm a filmmaker, mainly editor from Germany. I've been working all over the world on projects from small corporate films to big feature films, TVCs, everything that's coming up. I've been working as a freelance editor for more than 10 years now. In 2009, I started my business, and more and more I've added the department of directing to my portfolio. I've directed a couple of documentaries now, 2 for TV in this past year. Both of them released this year though. Kind of like a public station, TV station, documentary series about a portrait about people. One was a guy who has a reptile, what do you call it, a rescue station for reptiles and exotic animals. The other one was about an MMA coach who's living in Germany, who emigrated from Uzbekistan to Germany and has been living here for 25 years, working with tough guys, tough young men, and shaping them to MMA fighters and getting them off the street instead of having street fighting. They have the cage in the MMA, and yeah, that was a pretty nice project. And I also did a documentary feature film about German rap music, the origins of German rap and how everything developed since the 1980s. The show was on Netflix in all German-speaking countries for 2 years. It had a theatrical release also in German-speaking countries. And that was a passion project, which I can only recommend everybody doing passion projects as they can have time for and money for. So that was a big project that had lots of releases. Was also on airlines, Sky. It was on Sky documentary for a while. So that was a pretty good one.
Mm-hmm. That's nice. I remember this project quite fondly, and also. Speaking about personal projects, it's interesting to say what you just mentioned as a side note, more or less, like how much you can recommend it, because I've been teasing the audience for quite a while and told them that we are in fact also working on a private or personal project, our Star Wars fan film where Michael is the editor. Obviously this will not have a theatrical run or be available on Netflix or anything, so it will not and cannot make any money, which is not the goal anyway. But obviously the learning process of committing to such a huge undertaking is always something that gives you back something that is more worth than money, probably, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean the thing about success in general is not being successful immediately or whatever, but like you make mistakes and you make them over and over again, and just that's the journey. And I've been going on, and you've been mentoring me for quite a while now, and it's always the same. You keep failing over and over, and just being like enduring and keep going and keep learning from the mistakes. That what makes success most of the time, not just having this one giant or genius idea.
Exactly.
If you're successful, because once you're successful once, then you're on top of the hill. And if you don't have the next thing lined up, and that's work you need to do before or while you're already finishing the old project, the new project needs to be lined up, and that's endurance. And
absolutely,
to keep the spirits up, you need the passion projects for sure.
Absolutely. And as you know, a failure, is only a mistake, and a really true failure if you don't learn by the mistakes made by along the way. And also, like, the word no. It's so funny because just recently I was I think you also read the book from Christo from the future, and he says he's connotating negative things like no as positive things, which basically he breaks it down like no. It means next opportunity, which I really like. So you try to take things, negative things into a positive aspect. But speaking of that, Tim is asking, maybe he can see a compressed version of your work, maybe even together with some cool music. Maybe
I have
you
no
have
idea how you would call that that kind of video clip, as we call it in 1992.
Could be a show reel. So maybe we should watch that.
Yeah, we can watch my show reel. And last week in the German version, some people said that it was dramatically cut off beat. So I don't know if it's in sync or not, but it's just enjoy the reel and ask questions later.
(911), what's your emergency?
So I really need an editor. Quickly, please.
help is on the way.
Very nice.
Yep.
As always, it's always a pleasure to see your work. And the good thing is, after the next 80 minutes or so, you'll all be able to do just that, exactly as Mike does it, right?
Just with a snap of your finger, just
bam, and off you go. Actually, I was when I was looking at the last couple of shots, it reminds me that was from some of the trips that we took together. I think it was in Fuerteventura. I think, yeah. I get really anxious about having not being able to travel that much in the last 2 years, and seeing that makes me a little bit sad, but also hopeful for the future. Let's see what people are writing. Angus says, nice. Nadine gives you a strong emoji muscle arm. Angus also says 911. Exactly. Michael, if you have an editing emergency, you know who to call. So to prove his credibility and his knowledge of Premiere Pro, we have a fantastic mix of features and tips that we can share with you today. Among them, it's going to be remix and subtitles, all the kind of stuff that will actually help you in the process to be more productive and focus on the actual work. So how would you like to start, Mike? What would be the first thing that you want to show?
Maybe we could just start with remix. I think it's it's a quick one, and it's an easy one, and it's a very rewarding new feature, or it's not that new, as we discussed before. It has been present, or it has been an extra feature in Adobe Audition. But now it's in Premiere in the Essential Files folder, so in the Essential Sound folder, which makes it really easy to use. And I'm a lazy editor if I can. I'm not lazy, but I try to work as simple as possible, and that includes not switching my software if I don't have to. So
maybe we can explain just before we show the actual feature what remix actually means, because if people don't know this from Adobe Audition, it's basically the possibility to shorten or lengthen a given music track, especially if you have to do cut downs and stuff like that. So that's what actually audio remix stands for.
Exactly. So that's the main gist of it. And as Robert said, what do you need to remix sound for? You can already see my screen. I downloaded one of the songs from the Adobe stock panel, but we'll get to that in a second. So we have this song that's 2 minutes and 40 seconds long, but the client also wants a 60-second, a 30-second, 15-second cut down, and we used to have to edit to the beat, or make the cuts of the music to the beat to shorten it, and it was kind of a hassle. It can take up quite a lot of time, especially if you get too deep into the rabbit hole. Sometimes you keep editing and you're always offbeat somehow, no matter how many markers you make or whatever. I mean, maybe I'm the only one doing it, but for example, sometimes when I need rhythm and I don't work with the audio waveform that I see here, when it's just sometimes I just can't wrap my head around it. So I start the music, I just muted it now, and then with the beat I just set markers with a shortcut, and you can see them popping up, and I try to do it in the rhythm. And that's like visual markers to where I make the edits. That's just a quick, doesn't have to do anything with remix, but I used to do that especially to cut the right rhythm to shorten music. But now, oh wonder, we go to the Window tab and open the Essential Sound tab. And like I said, I downloaded 2 songs, put them here in my music folder, Adobe Stock Media. It's still German, the German version. If you want to find or browse for music, you can go to the Essential Sound Browse tab, and here you can type in anything you want, hip hop, for example, as I've been talking about rap earlier, and it'll show some music. Oh, sorry, that's not the best idea to have music and music at the same time. So you can listen to the music and the timeline is playing along at the same time, which makes it really nice if you only have a visual edit on pictures, videos, clips, and you want to see how the music feels. If you don't want that, you can go down here and just tap the music here. You can just unclick the timeline sync button, and when you play the music, then your playhead is not moving while the music is playing, which can be handy, but sometimes it's also annoying. So great thing that it's a quick.
It's so funny. I'm wondering, like, if I mean, I'm gonna be blunt and open about this, but I'm curious if anyone in the audience has also done this before. But I'm guilty of having played back a little QuickTime. I mean, that was before Essential Sound, right? But having played back a QuickTime clip as loop, and then browsing through, for example, Epidemic Sound, for example, just to see the video clip playing alongside the actual music clip, just to get a feel for it, if it actually works with the track. And it's probably not the most professional way of having a QuickTime window open and the browser, and then trying to sync up the video that is in the works, as well as the audio. And honestly, this might sound like a small thing, but actually being able to have it synced up with your timeline and also play the music while the video is playing, I think it's a pretty huge thing, especially because just to get a head start if it's emotionally right. I mean, we're not talking about beats and stuff like that, because that's the next step, but just to get a feeling for if it is the right track for this particular work. So I think it's a huge time saver.
Yeah, and it's a time saver, and it just helps you get the right feeling for any visuals that you have. And what I also like about it is that I can listen to the tracks without importing them into my timeline or into my project right away. It's just this online version, and it just makes the stuff a lot more simple. I really, really like that there's no audio watermark over the tracks, because
that's the next thing, right?
It's so annoying. And it's got like this little shopping cart here. I can just, breeze away within Adobe Premiere, and it just makes it a lot easier for me. But we're here for the remix feature, not for the Essential Sound sound library, because that's been there for a while now. And I just wanted to say I really like it, and I took one of the songs from the library, and now we're going back to the remix feature. So in your timeline, you need to activate your music track and click on music to make the remix feature available. And here you have your common tabs that you can choose from: loudness, but also duration. And at this stage, we have the remix method here. It tells me how long my song is in its original length. But like I told you, we want maybe a 60-second version. So I type in 01 for the minute, 0 seconds, 0 frames, and it will make a 1 minute mix plus minus 5 seconds. So you can see now, right now it's at 85 seconds, 59, sorry, not 85, 58, 59 seconds. And let's just listen to the remix. Whenever you have these zigzag lines over here, it's where the software made an edit to connect the beat, the rhythm from other parts of the song. That's a pretty smooth transition. You can't even hear that something is edited here. Just let me go for the other song real quick, because I think that was a little bit. It's obviously a little more difficult if you have voice, if you have somebody singing, because then it does analyze the rhythm, but sometimes it just like kind of fades the voice, so that it's a little more tricky then, but it's still a great and quick feature. So let's go back here, do the same thing as the software is analyzing the song. Go to 1 minute. As you see now, it's a little bit longer because it just, that's the kind of song. And I mean, you can already, I mean, this is just playing around for now, and you can already see that the software or the AI automatically looks for proper endings. So it does look for the ending of the song and tries to connect like a good part of the song to the ending, that we actually have a regular fade out from the songs or from the composers, how it was intended. So it's got a nice end beat, and that's the quick version of it, which is really nice. But now let's say you have a song that's does have a multitude of variations in it. You have a slow start, and then a long rise, and then it just goes full power. And you want to work with these different kind of rhythms and dynamics, loudness in the song. There's a customize option right here, and you can see we have the options between segmentize or segments and variations. So the segments describe how many of those zigzag edits we want to have. We can tone that down. Now it's down to 2. The AI automatically in real time tries to find the right edit points. If I go lower now, there's 3. It doesn't mean there's less edits, but it does mean there's less segments that variate from the main part. Or we can move it up. We get like more different segments, but Takt, was heißt Takt of the rhythms. We get different rhythms, beats in smaller segments. And then we can also add the variation, which adds more melody or more harmonic, like not like, you know, strumming guitar. That's what we would go for. And if we go more into melody, it's more singing, more variations.
It also depends on the track. If it's more like an ambient track, like a chill out track, or if it's like a fast, you know, with a beat, with a lot of distinguishable beats.
Exactly.
By the way, Sean Kozel says, I give it a 10. Nice beat, and you can dance to it. And Tim also chimes in with DJ Sensei on the beat. So and maybe I sorry to interrupt, Mike, but also the ending bit that you just explained. I mean, that's knowing from the little work that I have to do with Premiere every once in a while, like having a track, and then sometimes you pretty much are able to find like a segment that works somewhat, but obviously it's not as good as doing a remix. But the ending is always like a tricky part. And how often do you have to like fade it out, or I don't know, have like a rough cut, or try to edit it manually? So having a proper ending to a track really makes it sound professional, versus not having a proper ending and just fade out is always kind of like, yeah, you know, it's not a custom track. It's just like something taken from a library, and then you just fade it out because there's no 30-second version of it.
Yeah. Just while you were talking, I tried to make a 15-second edit out of it because it's a social media length, 15 seconds. So also, if you have like, I don't know in which stage, at what stage in their career or hobby the people are in the chat room, but you can make short videos with photo shows. You can do a TVC needs a 15-second cut down, so it just comes in really handy that you have the like a real version of the song at your fingertips, and you can always go into it manually if you want to, but it does give you the right like cues where to look for and where the edit points would be. Last week we had a question about OMF exports. So if we do export, this is maybe a more advanced question, but this is like an open exchange format for audio. And usually if you make cuts or edits in a clip, in a music clip or video clip through an OMF, you can export the whole timeline and give it to a sound studio or to a grading studio. However, right now the OMF feature does not include the edits that the software is generating. So if you do give this to a sound studio, you might need to rebuild this by hand or go through Adobe Audition, where I think Tim found out last week that if you go through Audition, the edits are included, but from Premiere, an OMF does not include these zigzag edits into the file itself. So if you're in a professional workflow, maybe you need to control everything a little bit more, and then I would suggest to just check out what you have here, re-edit the song, and go from there. That just helps, but eventually if you're in a professional workflow, most likely somebody else is going to compose the music or whatever, not edit it, but at least they will compose it, or they will work with it. So yeah, that's the remix feature, which saves just a heck of a lot of time.
Absolutely. Stuart asks, does Michael rough cut at all using a click track? When does he think of the music element for his edits?
That always depends on the project. So I know it's a stupid answer, but it really does. So if I have a show reel, for example, then I will do I will look through all the footage and just look for the best stuff to edit. If I have a commercial, a TVC, music doesn't play a big role. I don't really need a click. I need to tell a story. Same with show reels. I think I want to tell a story before I start editing to music, because just editing to music is fine, but it's just the first step to being a more advanced editor. And if I have final music, I'm happy to work with the final music. That does make it a lot easier, but most of the time I don't have the final music. I have a layout track from the client. The layout track most of the time is a song that's owned by somebody else. That's a movie, it's from a movie, or it's a famous song that is impossible to be purchased or licensed for this video clip or for the commercial. So they just give me that track. I edit with that because they want to see it with that. And eventually everybody's disappointed when they hear the composed music, because it's not the original song everybody's been listening to.
Oh no, we can't afford Coldplay for this commercial.
Exactly.
Oh,
so
what a pity.
A lot of companies do have like Coldplay as a layout track, which is it's just really difficult for every composer to compete with that. Especially on a short time, because composers usually have like a week to do their work, and then the spot goes online or on TV. If it's commercial spots, I'm talking not for TV or whatever, but still. So yeah, I edit with the music that is provided by me. I usually don't use a click track unless a composer is already pre-involved and tells me this is the BPM I need to edit with. And we're fixed on that. Or sometimes I do, if I already know a layout song will be quite close to what we're getting, and I will add a click for myself, so I don't need to do the markers or whatever. But let's eventually, like editing on beat. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a Premiere feature for that. In the near future. So that's where you need to maybe find the diversity in editing and find new ways of telling stories that is not fixated on editing on a click or whatever.
And also it's interesting because there's two things I want to add to that. One is, you can of course keep the BPM, for example, if you have the click track. Then of course the composer can create a sound alike or something that has the same BPM, but is like a known track that just sounds similar or has the same BPM. So you can keep some of the rhythm and some of the flow of the edit, if that's possible. But also speaking of BPM, if you go to Essential Sound, I'm not sure if you mentioned that this time around, if you go to Browse, obviously you can define your search quite well. You can not only look for genres or moods, but also you can define the BPM as well as the length. Obviously, you can also filter down for audio partners like Epidemic Sound and Fine Tune Music and so on. So there's multiple ways to actually select the track that you might be looking for. So there's quite a few more details that you can go in to find the relevant track for your. And also, I wanted to add that by the way, I didn't even know that like I think Essential Sound started with Epidemic Sound and Jamendo, I think, at first, and then over the time Fine Tune Music was added, as well as Keyframe Audio and Music Revolution. So so this is expanding, which is a great, you know, it's a great thing because there's so much to choose from, literally.
Just keep it coming.
And also, if there's a question about licensing and how you can use that, maybe I can add that. I don't know if people are interested. I don't see that question, but I think it's interesting and good to know if you can use that track on YouTube, for example. And what you get is when you license the track, you will get a little code that is basically your license code that you can, if you get like a YouTube copyright claim, because they're scanning for music, and then you can send them that approval or that license code, which is proof of purchase and proof of being the licensee for that particular track. So you're on the safe side from the legal aspects. A lot of people are wondering this, so I wanted to put this out there just so everyone is on the same page regarding the legality of that. Obviously, you cannot use the preview tracks. I mean, they are not watermarked, but they are highly compressed. So you can use it as a temp track, as a layout track to send to the client before actually purchasing it. But obviously, you will have to purchase it before publishing it or making money with it. So that's, I think that's a no-brainer there.
Yeah, and
cool.
It's so definitely hearable if you would use that as a final audio. Nah, it's not like, I mean, obviously legally it's not allowed, but also from a creative point of view, it's not good enough. Like you should buy or have to buy the full.
It's not good enough
full
for the final
license,
product. Exactly, yeah.
To get a better sound quality.
Yeah, but good enough for layouts.
Yes,
so.
Exactly.
Fantastic. If there are any questions regarding this, feel free to drop the questions in the chat. I can see that Stefan has joined as well. Hello. Anyone who's joining just now and is still hanging out on YouTube, as mentioned before, feel free to watch the stream on Behance, because that's where the chat is and that's where you can ask and post questions. All right. So
moving on.
What's next?
So one thing I have prepared, it's kind of like what can we do in Premiere that looks like After Effects. It's I called it now let's do the speech to text first, because I think that's the more essential one, because it helps everybody more. But just as a preview, just a quick render here, which goes a lot faster than last week. As a preview, this is what we're going to be looking at, how we build this later on. I call it the True Detective effect. You can use it for intro animations or whatever. And this is all made from like 3 or 4 stock clips from Adobe stock that I used. And it's got this, kind of true detective effect with superimposing 3 different kind of images. And I think it's like, for example, for a wedding film or whatever, if you edit that, or if you have a commercial, there's enough space to add text, whatever, an intro sequence to your home video or to the commercial you're editing. I think there's various opportunities to use this technique. Obviously, again, it's not as refined as when you would do it with a professional motion designer, 3D artist in After Effects or 3D software, but sometimes the budget is not big enough to hire somebody else, and then you have to do it yourself, and it's a quick way to get there. But we'll get back to that later, because first on we start with the speech to text tool, which has been also has been in Premiere for a while now, but it's been updated with some different techniques. First of all, it's a lot faster than before. As I've mentioned earlier, I've worked on 2 documentaries last year with 5 to 6 shooting days per film. The final films were 30 minutes. And the thing is, if you have 5 or 6 days of shooting documentary footage, you have a lot of text and you need to transcribe everything. And it used to be that you give the raw footage to one of the producers or to the interns, and they would have to type it off by hand, and it just takes them days because
sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's no fun. It takes them days. You can't edit right away. So what's been great that the speed of this speech to text feature has been updated, where everything that is said in audio will be transcribed to a text and can be automatically transferred onto your timeline as a subtitle. So that's the final step basically. But like the step before that for me is the transcribing process, because it's easier for me as an editor and as a documentary director to read what's been said. It's like way faster to read it and mark it, and it's super fast to jump back and forward. There's time codes added to when something has been said. So to me, this is a genius feature, and it already in the beginning I thought it was pretty good, but the conversion rate was probably real time or a little bit slower. It used to take, like, for 1 hour of audio or film, it took an hour basically of rendering, and now I don't know. I don't want to lie, but I think it's like I did 1 hour in 12 minutes. Which also speeds up the process. You don't need a full day anymore to transcribe sequences from a whole project. You can do it in an hour, go for lunch, and then your stuff is ready. So that was a pretty good deal for me. But lots of talk. Let's switch to the where do I have it? Let's switch to the real deal.
Hop on over to behance.net/live. That's where the party is.
So this is
and for anyone who's new today, we have also a premiere session, which seems to be our Monday slot. We had Joe Allen last week as well on a Monday. So we love to start the week with video.
So this is a little clip from another Adobe Live session with Emma, Rufus, and Zach. Zach, I don't know, but Rufus and Emma I've talked to before. I've had a also live session with Rufus, and I'm sure Zach is a very good and talented colleague of mine. And so as a reference, I chose to pick the stream because, for one, I thought there's 3 different speakers in the same video. Also, the sound quality is not as good as it should be, hopefully, in the films you edit or that you are filming. So maybe giving it a little more difficult task for the speech to text feature to do. And so right now this would be helpful. I mean, I can listen to the Adobe Live session and I would understand everything, but maybe somebody who doesn't understand everything and needs some more time to read what's happening, they could use the speech to text, or my commission would be to make the subtitles for this project. What would I do? I click on my timeline, activate my clip, and I go to Window, and there's a text feature. Like I said, it's been there before. That's nothing new so far. We can go to the transcribe sequence, and here we have some options. So maybe for you, this feature is new because you didn't know about it yet or just didn't need it yet. Like I said, it comes in very handy. For me, most of the time, you have a bunch of languages you can choose from. And I'll come back to that later because it does help me also, again, in documentary features when there's interviews with people that speak a language that I don't understand. So here we have English UK. Let's choose that. You can also choose between different audio layers. Right now, I only have like one stereo track. But if I have like, let's just go to cancel, and I'll duplicate these layers here with hold Alt and click the layers. That's how you duplicate something. And now I can, now I can choose from any audio, from any audio layer that I want to. Why is this helpful? Because usually I keep my sound, just the voice, on audio layer 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if I go like from audio layers 6, 7, 8, 9, that's usually my sound effects, and then I have music in the lower 2 layers, or how many layers of audio you need. Maybe it's just 1 and 2. But this can help you to single out just voice instead of having like a mix, which is checked now, because the mix will take everything, sound effects, music, and that doesn't help the software to understand what's being translated or transcribed for the software. So right now I only have a mix, so it doesn't really matter. However, since I have 3 audio layers now, I would just choose one of them, because I think if I choose the mix, it just adds 3 times the loudness of the clips. So now I choose audio layer 1, or you choose the audio layer that has the sound, the voice on it, the dialogue. Also, you can just, like, if you already have a big timeline, if you've edited a lot of stuff already, you can click the transcribe into outpoints only. Then you need to mark your in points and out points with, I have it on E and R. E is in and R is out, but the default layout is I for in and O for out. Ta-da, what a surprise. And you can just mark the regions that you want to have transcribed. However, I do not want this. I don't need to clear the markers. I just don't check this box over here. What I do want is recognizing different voices or different speakers. So I have 3 different speakers here now. Let's see what the software makes of it. And yeah, I think that's it for now. I mean, we see the gray out audio clips tagged here as dialogue, in case you're wondering what that means. Again, if we go back to essential sound, and this is probably also part of when you've already edited something, you can always choose an audio layer and go here on dialogue. Click this and you can repair the sound. So for example, if you have somebody who's standing in a windy area, you can always use the repair features, reduce noise. I could actually do that now, maybe reduce some noise, because the sound from the stream
session, which seems to be our Monday slot. We had Joe Allen last week as well.
Nope, sorry, that's what I was talking about. It was way too loud.
Well, on a Monday. So we love to start the week with video and testing that format out. So last week was like super technical. I don't know what you have in store for us, Zach, but
So right now the sound doesn't sound great. Maybe a little bit too metallic, but it does help to make it clearer, less background noises to get away from the transcribe software. And this way I could just click. I would only want all layers that are marked as dialogue, as I did in the first place. Only those ones will be transcribed, which also makes it easier if you have voice on multiple tracks, because you can only pick one track here. But if you have had a solid workflow, then all your clips should be tagged as dialogue and have some already have some audio work on it, then that makes it easier. So let's hit transcribe.
Click the magic button.
Yeah, hit the magic button. Just stop talking, Michael. Hit the button. And you can see here also the length of my whole sequence is 1 minute and 51 seconds, I think. Sorry. Or is it 1 hour and 51 seconds? I don't know. Let's see what happens. Hit the magic button. Don't talk. Right now, in this frame over here, we see something's happening. Sorry, you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm wondering, I mean, even if it's just like a minute of audio, it takes so long just to transcribe it manually. Just imagine writing down just 1 single minute of audio. If you have a fast talker, then I mean, this will certainly take longer than 1 minute to write, because you have to listen to it and you have to type it. And I don't know how fast you can type or how fast people can type here in the chat, but I mean, for me, transcribing something manually definitely sounds like it's a complete nightmare. And looking at looking at that and at how blazing fast that goes for, I think it's an hour long, right? Because it's like it's an hour long. But that's what I was talking about, is like 12 minutes or whatever for an hour or 15 minutes now. So I'm just gonna cancel that here.
I never tried to cancel it. What happens if I edit? Because I don't want you guys to keep waiting for like 14 minutes. So maybe I'll just do no pauses. I actually have no idea how I cancel this, Tim.
That's a good question, Mike. I've never asked that myself.
What if I choose a different? No. Also, just as I've seen this now, if somebody has a pause in their speech, you can also tag this one, and it just makes a ... So you know there's a speaking pause. Visually, you can see it visually in the text, which sometimes helps. What if I just close the panel? It probably won't do the trick either. Oh, it does. Here we go. Just close the panel, then it stops. Magic. So now I made a 15-second clip. Everything is still set from the back to default because I canceled everything. Again, I did a copy. I'm not sure if my copy was good enough, so I just used the mix because it's just audio layer 1, and I hit transcribe. Now this now it's still creating the captions.
Maybe it's doing 2 now.
Yeah, it does. Sweet. So it can do simultaneous transcriptions, obviously. And here we have the text now. So let's see what the software did for us.
Hop on over to behance.net/live. That's where the party is.
Yep, and for anyone who's new today, we have also a premiere session, which seems to be our Monday slot. We had Joe Allen last week as well on a Monday. So we'd love to start the week with, video. And
okay, so I think that's already a pretty good start. Obviously, some special names like Behance for here, it just calls it Behand. Stuff like that can be a bit tricky if you have like special names, locations, or whatever. Then it's not perfect, but most of the time it works great now. So I'm up on over spell segment. Sorry, I'm a little bit confused right now because usually I can just type, but I don't know how this spell segment is working at the moment.
Maybe because it's still encoding in the background. I don't know.
Maybe.
Transcribing.
Let's. So usually you can just double click here and already change some of the transcription that's being made. Also, we can edit the speakers here. You can already see that it did differentiate between like 2 speakers. The first one, numero uno, was Rufus. So I'll just rename it. Help. It seems like either my keyboard is broken. No, keyboard is working. So I think this is happening because it's still going on in the background.
Maybe you can restart the project or Premiere. I don't know.
Transcript. Yeah, I'll restart Premiere quickly. Sorry, guys.
And the other thing that is super helpful with this is that you can actually use that. I think you can. For example, we had that word Behance where it said like be like hands, and not Behance. I think you can type the words, and I think you can learn the words. Is that right?
Yeah, you can go into there's a grammar function, spell checking function, and you can, after you've transcribed something and replace it, and you can tell the program Behance is a word, or the name Michael is something that it should be recognizing. That just makes it a little bit easier if you have Sorry, I need to open the task manager here and see what's going on. That just makes it a little bit easier if you're working, for example, I did with my hip hop documentary, there's like, if I do transcribe, they're speaking in German, and obviously a beat maker is not a German word, it's an English word, but we use it in Germany for somebody who makes hip hop beats or whatever, music beats. So beat maker would be one of these words that could not be transcribed in German correctly. And I can just add it to the spell check, and then hopefully it will recognize this word over and over the more I correct it. So that's always a good way. Like I said, if you have some words that you keep reusing over and over again, and that just won't work. Okay, here we go. Now we're back to the proper project. So now if I double click into this text feature, we call it Behance. Hop on over to Behance and
hop on over to behance.net/live.
What was it? I already forgot it. .net/live. Okay, so that stuff that's out obviously isn't right. So that's how it should be. We can correct it here, but we can also correct it later on. It's just, right now it's easier to go into the feature. Like I said, we can edit the speakers, Rufus and Emma. Save, and you can already see it changed over here. And again, if you have dialogue between actors, for example, it's basically like a dialogue book from what's been said in the film, and you can export it. If you want to a text file, then it just gives you a TXT file, and that's what I do if I transcribe stuff and want to reread it or export the transcript. Then, you can do it like it's not a RTF TXT file. You can export it in other formats. So what we want to do here now is create the captions. And in the captions option, you have all the defaults. Basically, you can choose how many characters, how many characters in the line you want to have down here in the main window. You can say if you want to have double lines or single lines. Basically, this is a pretty standard layout as it is. But if you do have special subtitle files, which will be told, or the screening session will tell you what they need. Maybe a cinema needs a different subtitle than YouTube or whatever. So if you want, or Australian, I don't know if it's upside down or what the thing is with that. But yeah, you can choose just the subtitle default and click create. And now the text that we've been seeing will be added to your timeline in a special layer up here. You can also, like everything else, you can lock it, you can turn it on and off, and you can already see right here that the subtitles are created, and they're created within the time code.
Hop on over to behance.net/live. That's where the party is.
Yep, and for anyone who's new today, we have also a premiere session, which seems to be our Monday slot.
So yeah, this is like super quick and easy, and if you don't like these little gaps, you can just with the regular Premiere tools, you can just slide them over.
Our Monday slot, we had Joe Allen,
and there won't be like black flash frames. You can roll the whole thing if it's not like, especially if you work with the audio waveforms. If you want to work on the moment when the text switches over to
our Monday slot, we had Joe Allen.
Where is it?
Slot, we had Joe.
So this is where the we comes in. If the software didn't make it properly, like on point.
To be our Monday slot, we had Joe Allen last week as well.
This is just like a regular text layer, right?
Yeah, it's just a graphic layer
with any font and style and everything that you want to do.
Yeah, and especially if you have a long timeline, it's cool because if you just click here on the sentence that you want to switch to, especially if it's a long timeline, half an hour, you can just scroll through it, and then I click, I want to go to this part of the transcript or of my movie.
We have also a
And that's where it jumps onto. So it's a pretty intuitive to work with, especially if you're like reorganizing your project.
And if you change something on the top in the captions window, will be reflected in the.
It's the Monday session, for example, whatever. It's not sorry, it's not the slot anymore. It's the session or whatever. So you can see it like in real time being changed in the main window. And since you already said it's basically a graphic layer. If we go to the window feature for essential graphics and open this, we can also go to the edit section. And now I can choose the text up here and it will like turn on a red box, and you can already choose the text here to be I don't know, fake our Monday slot or whatever. To be our Monday slot. So you can also change the text basically anywhere, but I think it's more tidy if you clean it up in the text window or in the captions window. But if you don't like the font that's being used, or maybe you have a special request from the client or whatever, or from a screener that it does need to be Arial, for example, because that's something that's what do you call it? Regular default font. Then you can just click that and choose a different text here. I wouldn't mess with all these with the aligning and everything, because I mean, if you want to and you know your way around, do it. But usually the default subtitle menu that we saw earlier over here, if we do go to create captions, this subtitle default, subtitles can be very technical. And if you change anything about it, maybe the person who will take your video and screen it somewhere, for example, in a movie theater, it will might crash their system if it's just not 100% right. So you need to try to stay in the boundaries if you're not only producing for web, where most of the stuff is.
But this is for burned in subtitles, right? What we're seeing right now. So you can also export them externally, right?
You can do both. I mean, if I want to export right now, so I go to the export window. Sorry, did it with a shortcut. We go to export media, and now we have the captions button. So right now, none of the captions are being exported. We can do a sidecar file, which will make the video, and an SRT file at the moment. That we can upload to YouTube separately, or give it to anybody who wants to screen the subtitles, who needs to use the subtitles. And then we can also do the burn-in captions. And then, as you see right now in the preview monitor already, this is when the captions will be burned in, and you don't have a sidecar file. So for example, if you, for my documentary, I did a burn-in for the subtitles for the international screenings, because I just wasn't sure if they could actually replay the SRT files or the subtitle files in any location that I wanted. So I burned in the subtitle files because for me as a filmmaker, I had more control over what's being screened. And if nobody can meddle with a burn-in. Whereas if I send it in a subtitle file, somebody could change the text if they wanted to, because they think it's too long or not pretty enough or whatever, or I used the wrong language. Not possible in a burn-in. So it has pros and cons. You know? But yeah, you can export the sidecar file.
Cool. And also, I want to point out that we were discussing this recently when we were chatting about this feature, that if you're publishing stuff to YouTube, for example, and you are giving YouTube a separate SRT file as a subtitle, as far as I know, so I don't have this in written, but as far as I know, it is also ranked higher because it's regarded as a rather professional or more professional production, because it's more accessible, obviously. So delivering a proper subtitle file like an SRT enables people that have, for example, a hearing disability to just enable the subtitles, so it's more accessible. But also you can submit multiple SRT files with different languages. For example, you could have English, French, whatever. So this also helps you actually be in fact more accessible on YouTube, but also to be ranked higher, because you are giving YouTube something that is more of a professional content in that matter.
Speaking for the true heart of a streamer and YouTuber. Spoken. All right, and as you mentioned, for different audiences, that's what I wanted to get back to as well. The speech to translate, it's what I call it, and I also did prepare. Sometimes I feel like I'm in a cooking show here, so I prepared a little something already.
We are.
So back to another Adobe Live with a French host, Franck, and what I wanted to show you was that I can. Oops, sorry. So I have a new sequence here. Go to the captions, and I also again go to the transcribe sequence. I hope it won't hang itself up if in the background something is going on still from the old transcription I did. But he's speaking, like, maybe I should show this to you. He's speaking French.
Entendez bien, j'espère que vous me recevez bien. Je suis Franck Payen et je vais être avec vous pendant une petite heure, et durant cette heure,
I will refrain from making any comments on the French language, but everything I know is that I don't speak it very well. And like I said, as a documentary filmmaker, or right now with the war in Ukraine going on, I don't always understand everybody I'm interviewing. I do have a translator there if I direct, but I mean, I'm just not that talented to speak that many languages. But I can have a translator there asking the questions that I'm asking. We're recording this. I'm not sure what I have, but in the evening or right after the interview, I can go into Premiere, load my footage in there. And I've interviewed Franck in this example, in this example that I'm showing to you. Again, I only have one audio layer, so it's going to be the audio one. And here I can choose different languages. And here I can choose Russian if I want to interview Ukrainian people, whatever. And I also can choose French. You can also make it available offline, I think, is the cloud, right, Robert?
I think so, but I think it will download it and when you click it, but I'm not sure.
I think I have to click it though. I don't know, maybe.
What happens if you...
So I chose French, and I go back to the transcription tool. It's only 25 seconds that we're transcribing. So it might take a minute.
Yeah, see, it's downloading a language pack, because in fact, it's doing it on the machine versus as before where it was doing it in the cloud. So it had to take the audio, upload it, and then analyze it on Adobe server, and then we'll give you the information back. Whereas now it has all those language packs in Premiere Pro, and if you don't have them, you have to download them as we're seeing right now. So the whole processing of the transcription will be done on site on your machine, and will technically not leave your computer.
Which is great news for data protection, because I always felt kind of awkward when it said uploading to the cloud. Depending on what kind of footage you have, it's not supposed to be in any cloud. You have to be TSAC confirmed or whatever, and then you can't really use that feature. But now if it's on the machine, that makes it a lot easier. So now we have this French text over here, which will be pretty close to what he actually said. Bonjour à toutes is hello everybody, male and female. That's as far as I can go without spending more time on it. So my advantage now is I can take this text, just go on, mark everything, I copy it, and I go to a translation software, edit there, and choose the language that I prefer, German, for example, in this case, or English, because sometimes the translation features have are better in English, because there's a more frequent exchange between English and other languages than Russian to German or French to German or whatever. So maybe it might help if you choose English as a base language. However, this feature is not available in Premiere yet. I hope it will be added, that it will have like an automatic translation from, if I click French, and I can also choose a button that says German or English.
That would be nice.
Because that would make it like my rap documentary was in German language. So it would be like 2 clicks to translate it, and I'm quite fluent in English, I would say. So I would have had the opportunity to do it half automated and just do like by hand corrections, would have saved me probably 3 days of work, which is super nice. Plus, I understand what my interview partners are saying as a director or as an editor. If I do get footage that wasn't shot by me, I can just use that feature and translate and maybe play it back to the reporting team in wherever they are, in Moria in Greece or in Ukraine, Kiev or whatever. So it's a back and forth, which is quite fast and easy. Obviously, I know maybe somebody's saying it in chat, you can use your phone and do like a live version translate, but that's can be very unsexy for filming, because you have like more of dialogue than an interview. So yeah, that's how I use speech to translate, basically.
Very nice. Yeah, certainly this will save you some days accumulated over the span of a certain project. I mean, I remember you said that you had like 500 pages of transcripts that you had to handwrite, and which is just, to me, it's like ridiculous. It's like, hey, you not only did a movie, but you also wrote a book.
Yeah, basically. And especially, I remember I had to use this software where you could choose this, you have to add the audio of the interview, and then you had to choose the playback speed, and not even YouTube had the playback speed feature then, and you have it at half speed, and I'm a fast typer, but I'm like, even at half speed, I couldn't keep up with what's being said. So it literally, like, it was 28 or 20 people I interviewed, around 21. And it took me 2 or 3 days per interview to do it. Like, I mean, one interview was only 40 minutes, but most of them were 2 or 3 hours. And
just crazy, yeah.
Not anymore. Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay, so if there's no questions about the text feature, let's do a 23 minutes. Let's do a quick one for the dancer, for the
let's do
preview
that
that
one.
I've been showing you.
The true crime one. No, true detective.
True detective, yeah. True crime is the genre, but I keep saying it as well.
Right.
True detective is the film, the series. So I've downloaded a bunch of clips from Adobe Stock, because that makes it like really easy for me. And the base clip I chose was this dancer. And if you want to use this effect, the most important thing is that you have something with high contrast. It could be anybody, any person, talking about this true detective style now. It could be any person or skyline with a lit background, a very bright background. You can have it in front of a white, what's Hohlkehle in English? With a studio background, maybe that. So choose something with high contrast. And that's what I did. So I'm just gonna make a new sequence here, starting from scratch. And this will help you get this stencil effect that we need to use this feature. So now I just need to choose a moment where she's turning, because it's slow motion and it looks pretty cool. So I just make a short clip just to turn around. And I think to come closer to the true detective version, we need to make it a lot slower. So we go on a right click, go to speed and duration, and I set this down to 50%, choose optical flow, because it's a better interpolation. You won't have like the stuttering stop motion effect if you use this one. It does require a lot more hardware though. For my machine, it's all right, but depending on what you work on, it might take a lot longer. So now this is an even slower slow motion digital version, which is nice. And now we open the Lumetri color feature. You have different tabs here that you can choose from. First off, we start with the curves, and we want to make it really stencily high contrast. So we pick some point up here in the bright parts with the contrast with the curve. And then we just make like this cornered action going. And you can already see here what I overdid a little bit, like this yellow part shouldn't be there. So I'm just gonna pull this back a little bit till it vanishes and make this a straight line again. So this
you're
is
making the brights brighter and the darks darker, essentially. So you're killing all the in between stuff, but technically.
And we still have some color in there, which we don't need for a stencil. So we close the curves tab, go to the basic correction, and take out the saturation. This way, our stencil is quite nice and clear. Again, if I go into full frame, you can see there's like some like artifacts here. It's not a clean key, but it is it's a quick version to work. If you want the perfect version, go to After Effects or hire somebody, but this is just, it works super fast and is super nice. So as you saw in the preview, we also had some other stuff coming out because I think it's too boring to just do one thing. You could maybe make like a little forest on her head and have birds flying out, and I choose to have her like to have leaves coming that she's turning, and the leaves are coming up. So what I'm doing here is basically the same. I use these falling leaves also with a high contrast, but I mean, this looks like 3D, but you could easily just film birds flying or leaves falling down against the sky or whatever. There's a ton of stuff you can use. So we go back again here. Also, we don't need saturation, and since this basic correction is already open, let's do that. And we go back to the curves again, picking this up and getting back some of the leaves that disappeared. And I quite like this. But now we have the problem that we don't see our dancer anymore. So we need to go to the effects controls. And here in opacity and blend mode, we choose darken, which basically leaves all the dark parts of the image in and takes all the bright parts out. This looks kind of nice, to be honest. I think it's actually the first time I've seen it like this, but I want the leaves to fly from one side, from her to one side of the picture. So I choose a rotation, where is it? 270 degrees. So the direction of the leaves is correct. I go to the motion menu and choose the beginning of the top part of the image. This is where the leaves would fly out from. If I click anywhere in the timeline, the blue box is gone. And I think it's weird that the leaves are coming out here. So I'm gonna go into a 50% view and do in the opacity layer, I'm gonna make a mask to mask out some of the leaves that they might not be shooting out from above her head, but only from her, like a ray of leaves coming out. And then we mask feather the mask a little bit. And I mean, it's still not perfect, but it's an artsy effect. So it'll do for now. So now we have a stencil of the rotating dancer and the leaves. And what we want to do now is let's make this the same length. What we want to do now is we nest these two clips, right click, go to nest, call it dancer.
Which is the equivalent of pre-compose in After Effects.
Yep, it's kind of a subcomp that we have. If we want to go back into the subcomp, just double click it and it'll open here as a tab in the top view. And now I've chosen some different backgrounds that we could use. In the preview that you saw, I chose this beach, for example. You can use that if you want to. Let's see what, just to go as close to the sample that I showed to you. So now we have the top layer is the dancer, the bottom layer is the video with background video that we chose. And now if we go to lighten, it takes out all the dark parts and just leaves the white. So right now we only see the ocean, which is not so nice, I think. So we click on our base layer, reposition it so that the beachfront and the waves are right above her. And now we have a stencil of, maybe move it a little bit further. Now we have a stencil of her, the leaves, and she's turning, maybe even flip the shot of the water, because then the water flows into the same direction as she's turning and not vice versa. Looks a little bit nicer. That's just playing around basically. Yeah, so now we have the base part of what we wanted to do here, but to get the true crime look, we already need some like
True detective.
True detective. Sorry, man. We also need to add some more structure and detail to our main subject. So I go back into my subcomp and I choose the dancer layer, just the lower layer here, and we go back to the stencil. Let's put Lumetri back to default settings and have her colored again, because we don't need the contrast curve, but what we do need is the desaturation. You could just as well, instead of putting everything back in case you've done more color grading or whatever color correction, you can just double click the curve and then it just goes back to normal, to default. So now we have this in black and white above. So one thing you can do is go to screen, and this way we already see there's a lot more detail. You can see the hair, you can see like her belly, and this does make it look a lot more like the True Detective thing. But what happens if you go to screen is that the leaves are gone, which is obviously not what we're intending. So let's try the color burn, and we can already see the leaves are there. In color burn, what happens sometimes is that the contrast is getting too high of the base layer that we have. So if we go to curves here and make an inverted S curve or brighten this a little bit, this could get like, this gives us like a coloring effect. We don't see the waves anymore, but it does give us this like crass look of colors that we can use. And if you play with a base layer, this dramatically shifts on what we can and want to use, so that you can play around with this. Or like I said, you can go back to screen. Let's again revert this here. Go to screen, and you could choose a mask in the opacity, for example, that will keep the leaves in. So now you still have both. Here right now we see the corner, this end of the original frame that I was using. If I go into motion, we can see it here. So that's obviously not desired. So maybe I need to scale it up a little bit to get the effect that I wanted. And now I think this, sorry, go back to this. So now it's already looking,
that looks nice,
quite nice. And also because this is the one that I was showing earlier, let's go back to my project. I did I called it the beach background. So I again mark all the clips that I have and I nest them again. And now everything is again in a subcomp. And if I choose, sorry, where do I have it? No, sorry, multiply. So if I multiply the effects here now, I have this base color from the beach that I used, but I can also apply an effect, gradient wipe, where is it? Generate. And isn't it called gradient? Usually you have a
gradient wipe is down below. Go down, down, down.
Yeah, but that's a transition, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need the wipe. I just want a gradient from A to B. But
I think it's called ramp.
Ah, ramp. Yeah, that's it. Sorry, I sometimes use it in German and sometimes in English, the software. So it's always the Here. Okay, so we have the start of the ramp, which we can turn. And back to default. We have the colors, and for the colors, let's just switch the effect tab down here. I go to the, I wanted to load my original background clip into the viewers and the source viewer. So that's why I had to go back here, go back into my beach setting. And down here, I have the ramp. So I use the color picker to go from blue, and here the other color picker to maybe take this orangey. So I have the same colors that are being used in the background layer. And now if I want to, I can choose the ramp, and I'm 50%, that's where it is. So I want to see these beginning of the ramp here, and I can put this to the, I'm putting this one to the right side and this one to the left side, maybe giving it a little more orangey on one side.
I would probably swap it, or because you turned around.
Vice versa, yeah.
Yeah, I think
you're the more creative image. You're the more of a pro on the image. So I put it to the outside, and I think here it looks nicer. So I mean, now we have like a background. It's not just on white, and since we still have like some time left. This is basically what I showed in the beginning. But you can do any kind of mixture if you do have this, if you keep in mind that you need a contrasty person or building or whatever it is that you want to have as the main subject in your image. Maybe something that's coming out of or from the image or driving inside. Let's go to the footage here. I also had like this this coloring layer in, as an example earlier. Let's switch this here and add this. So whatever you put in the bottom layer.
Tim had a nice one for you. He said when we were looking for a ramp, it was like ramping up the excitement.
Yes. with my complicated explanation, ramping up the excitement. When is he getting to the point? So yeah, this is like this color splash coming out, and obviously there's a lot of white in there as well. So if you want, you can use that, for example, to outline the shape of your object as a color splash is coming out. This looks pretty fantastic as well, maybe even better than the beach, probably better than the beach. And this clip I loaded from Adobe stock. And here you also have an alpha channel included, or like, it's not the alpha channel, but like if you use it, it's an alpha channel. You could also use this one. Sorry, there's still some color left here in this part. There's the final. Now that I have the black and white, and since we used the stencil, which works with high contrast and black and white, we can also use this splash just to let my dancer appear or disappear. You can reverse the shot. You can make it slower, so everything goes super slow. I go into my speed options. I use optical flow again, down to 10%, very extreme. And I need to render it, but maybe 10% is too.
It's maybe a little bit extreme.
I like it extreme. See, it works when I render it.
Not so bad.
So I mean, it's a nice effect, and you can just play around with this stuff for ages to get the right amount of creativeness or craziness that you need, or aesthetics. Try waters, try everything that's fluid, colors. So that just makes everything more professional. And like I said, it's not the like super professional deal, but it's still pretty good. It's still like, I could use this as a layout for my client to show them why I want to use what I want to make. It's a pitch film, and I can show my clients, this is how I want to make it, and somebody will make it even more perfect when we have the budget, or I use it for my friends as an opening for their wedding video because they asked me to edit it, and I have like, maybe I have the chance to ask the bride and the groom to do something again, like a kiss, and have a video against the sky or whatever, and then I could use this for an intro to the video or whatever. I mean, it's just tons of stuff you could do with it.
It's funny because I would never have, like, the first time I saw that you can do stuff like this in Premiere, I would have never thought to actually not even consider doing this in Premiere, obviously, because I'm an After Effects user. So you can do pretty much the same thing and a little bit better, of course, in After Effects. But just the sheer fact that you can do this in Premiere Pro for the sake of being more effective, because maybe you are not so accustomed to using After Effects, or you don't want to use After Effects. Or you just don't want to leave the application you're most comfortable, which is in this case Premiere Pro, that you in fact can do these things quite well, which I think is amazing and saves you a lot of time. And again, you don't have to create it pixel perfect if you don't know have the skills, but it can give you a head start on how to communicate this idea to maybe a coworker, a motion designer, or even the client. Or you can polish it and have it, done in a final quality as well. So there's tons of ways.
And I mean, this was just the quick roundup of how we can do it. But if I even here, if I have the leaves, if you play around with these settings and maybe even other settings in Lumetri, like down here, you can refine this and get it more and more perfect, get more shading into the leaves, that they will have more structure in. You need to play around with it for sure, but you can get a very good result with it that's presentable even in final project.
And you just did that in like what, 8 minutes or 9, or I don't even know, like 10 minutes maybe max. So given for the short amount of time, I think it looks great. Speaking of time, we have about 5 minutes left. I think you were mentioning the the shake effect and also the tracking. Is that something that you can do in this short amount of time that we have left, or
the shape effect?
The shake, the camera shake.
Actually, I haven't mentioned it here, but I don't know. It's a toughie for this amount of time. So basically, it's kind of like if you make a music video, whatever. Again, wedding video, it's this effect that's been used in multiple music videos so far.
Maybe we could just talk about it. You don't have to show it in detail, but I think even the idea is nice, because I mean, I think it's,
again, what I did, this is a stock clip of somebody dancing, but eventually anything you will find in a music video. And also you have this video clip of my office, where I just have my iPhone and I zoom in with my iPhone to the beat of the track that I chose. So what you do to set it up is have music ready that you want to use, then film anything that has a lot of tracking points, not just a blank wall in one color, but anything that has lots of points that are trackable.
Contrast.
Contrast, yeah, exactly. That's anything that works here. Maybe a screen is not even the best option, I think, because the contrast is partially mellow. If you can use it with your phone like I did, it's better if you use a proper camera and use an optical zoom. But this is just to get a tracking of something. And then if you zoom into the beat, you play the music in real life, and then make zoom effects to the beat. Then it's synced with the song you will use later on. And now let's see what happens here. So this is just also like a quick version of it, but you can have the camera shake to the beat of the music in a original footage, which has been like pretty stable handheld or on a tripod or whatever. So you can move around. You can digitally make hand camera shakes or whatever, add this to your films or music videos if you use a stabilize feature. So what you would be doing, where's the effect controls? Effect controls here. So you have your your clip with the, sorry, you have your basic clip from Adobe that's supposed to be the one you see in the image, and you have the one that I filmed. If you have this layer that you filmed with a camera motion, you nest it. That's what I did. And this is this music video part right here. We see what's happening. And on the nest, you put a warp stabilizer, you analyze it, and then this nest will be stabilized. So that all this kind of, the software will try to smooth out all this wild zooming, which is not so good because it's too fast. It should be a little bit slower. And then when you go back into the nested project, into subcomp, you can just drag your clip that you wanted to use over it and not do anything else. Go back into your stabilizing timeline with the music in it. And if you don't press analyze again, it will use the data it collected from my video and just put it onto the whole nested sequence. And that's why the image now is moving. So I know this looks pretty bad right now, but it does work if you use a proper lens and everything. And if I have a little more time to explain it, but that's the quick roundup. but I think it's a fantastic hack. I would have never thought of that. But also, I mean, this is obviously for artistic purposes, but you can also, film something with a rather bigger camera than an iPhone, like with a proper camera, and have it handheld and have a little bit of a camera shake. Just by standing, you would have some camera shake that feels almost like steady, but still you're moving around a little bit, and use that data to add that to a lockdown, maybe for a CG shot, for example, where you just give the subtle motion that is actually coming from real movement, from holding a real camera. So you can use that. For example, if you have a shot of like a tripod shot of somebody like firing a gun, but like having like this recoil, this little movement, this is something that you can like just record. So put your camera on a tripod, record it, and the camera is on the tripod, and just just gently hit the tripod. It's like micro vibration, but that adds like storytelling depth to your video clip when somebody shoots a gun or whatever. It just makes it more
an
alive
sequence or something like that.
So again, you need to play around and be creative with it.
That sounds great. Wow. Whew, that was a whirlwind of information and knowledge that you just spilled on us. I think it's a good thing that we're going to have a rewatch or a rewind option for that, so that people can watch this actually almost frame by frame to be able to to redo all these things that we just learned. The chat likes it so far. Some people already said that we'll have to do a rewatch to be able to follow along. Some good feedback on there. Mike, I think this was fantastic. I really enjoyed this. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of us. Unicorn also says, thanks, Michael. Thanks, Robert. We'll have to rewatch. Missed most of the stream. Don't worry. Oliver loves it. Great stream. Barry says, good session. Thank you so much. So some fantastic feedback. Thank you, guys. Julia is also a bit smarter again. Julia, can you get any smarter than you already are? I think it's she's such a kind and smart person and a great artist. So good to see you all here on the stream. Thank you, everyone, for joining in, for watching us do our stuff. Again, let us know what you think. Feel free to reach out. The chat is continuing on Discord, and hope to see you next time. And I hope to see you as well, Mike, sometime soon in the UK stream.
Also too.
Be safe and take care.
Greetings from Germany to everybody.
Exactly. Ciao, ciao.